Well, I understand a lot of the people that are participating on this call. I mean, I think you're helping family members, you're helping friends, you're helping people that you know apply for unemployment insurance. And I understand, when it first got rolled out in March, there was a lot of frustration, from the public. I think we had overwhelmed the system with just the number of people that were applying at the same time. It took a little while, and we are now in July. It's been a few months. It's taken a while for us to have a better grasp of the process and everything that it entails. But I just wanted to share with you kind of an overview of what we know about unemployment insurance. And I understand some of you have already gone through the experience, and then some of you, are going through it now. So any insights that you guys may have would also be just helpful for us to know what people are facing and kind of the issues and the questions that they're seeing or that you guys are seeing. Okay. 1 second. Okay. So basically, who qualifies? So the whole purpose of unemployment insurance is to provide some sort of benefit for people, when they're laid off of work through no fault of their own, or they lose their job. Is this money supposed to help them get through it while they're applying for a job? So people that qualify, it's basically workers who can legally work in the United States. And that includes lawful permanent residents, immigrants with employment authorization documents, COFA migrants. From what I understand, there were a lot of COFA migrants that didn't even apply for unemployment insurance just because they didn't know that they even qualified. And here we are in the middle of July, and there's still people that, they don't even know if they've qualified yet for unemployment insurance. But generally, these are the people that can apply for unemployment insurance. Normally, the ones that don't, that would be disqualified for unemployment insurance, are if they voluntarily quit their job, if you're fired for misconduct, if you're just failing to look for work, or you don't want to accept a suitable job offer, or finally, if you're just disqualified for 2 years, if you made some sort of misrepresentation before to the unemployment office, and you were caught, so you're disqualified for applying for the next 2 years. Okay. So when we talk about unemployment insurance, I think most of the people here, they're applying for unemployment insurance because they were impacted by COVID somehow. Either their work, they're working in a restaurant, or they're working in a hotel, and since March, maybe some of them had to close, or some of them had to temporarily slow their business down. So people that would qualify normally are, where their employer basically had to shut down or lay off people. I know a lot of restaurants just basically had to close. Here on Oahu, when the mayor's order came out, and restaurants had to close, just people didn't have anywhere to work. If their hours are reduced, maybe now as things are slowly opening back up, they're back in the restaurant, but maybe they're only working a few hours, especially with social distancing. The restaurant just can't be at full capacity. If they're self-employed, or they're independent contractor, or, if they had to care for a family member that was sick because of COVID. Those are the ones that are generally, I just want to say generally would have qualified. The ones that normally don't qualify are the ones that aren't working, but your employer is still paying you. For instance, you just took out sick leave, and you're at home using vacation leave or sick leave. Normally, you wouldn't qualify for unemployment insurance. And finally, you're doing some sort of telework. I think a lot of us, our offices weren't physically open, but we were doing some work. So technically, we weren't really laid off, so we were just working from home. So generally, those are the people that didn't qualify. And then so that was the general unemployment insurance. And then in an effort to help more people, we also have the pandemic unemployment assistance. So this was the federal program. It's a federal program as part of the CARES Act, but it's being administered by the state of Hawaii. I think a lot of people refer to it as PUA. So basically, these are a lot of the people in our communities they're self-employed. They haven't earned any wages from any employer in the last 18 months. These are, people that we think of, maybe they do a side gig, at a restaurant playing music, and now they can't do that. So, they don't have a normal job where, they're collecting, or where their employer's paying into the unemployment insurance. But you know, in an effort to try to be able to help more people, this was also available. Um, okay, and others that you know, for you to qualify for this, um, I just had, hold on, let me just make sure. Okay. So this is also something that you apply online. So these are for people if they've exhausted all rights under the regular unemployment. And correct me if I'm wrong, if somebody knows. From my understanding, it's just people need to apply for regular unemployment insurance first, and then be rejected, and then apply for PUA. Um, so that's a different program, and that's an effort to help people that normally wouldn't have qualified for normal unemployment insurance. Okay. Okay, so it provides 39 weeks of benefits to qualified applicants. Um, so payments could be retroactive. So if you haven't applied yet for the weeks that you were unemployed or partially unemployed, starting from January 27, 2020, you can still apply now. And you could be paid for the weeks of unemployment from that time until December 31, 2020. So again, the application is online. Um, I know the state has a separate website for that, and it's at pua.hawaii.gov. Um, okay. And then another program is the Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation, that's PEUC. And that's basically just adds an additional 13 weeks of unemployment compensation, and that ends at the end of the year. So basically, those are for people if you've used up all your unemployment benefits. This provides an extra additional 13 weeks, you know, to be able to help. See, and then yeah. So if you're applying for this, basically most of the applications are online. The website is here for you to apply as well. And basically, this is if once you've exhausted all your regular unemployment benefits and you have no other compensation under both state or federal law that you would be entitled to, this thing is you could apply for this for an additional 13 weeks of assistance. And then finally, you know, as part of the CARES Act, I think this is what some people were familiar with. There's the federal unemployment compensation, and this just adds an additional $600 per week to what people were getting. So it's from after March 27, 2020, and basically ends at the end of the month. I know the state is looking at different programs to try to be able to extend some sort of additional unemployment compensation to people. That extra $600 a week, if you're looking at it, that's an extra $2,400 a month. So it was a big chunk of change for people, and that when that ends, you know, things are constantly evolving. I think the federal government is looking at somehow extending it. I think our state and local officials are looking at somehow providing an extra benefit. So for that, I would just say, you know, continue to watch the news, continue to visit the website, and just see if things change. So there's no additional application process for this. Basically, if you were eligible for unemployment insurance, it should have been something that you were getting in addition. Okay. And I just saw the recent press release from the governor. So basically, since March 2020, you know, the state's paid out over $2 billion in claims. And then it's been over nearly $2 million in weeks claims since the onset of COVID. So they're trying. I know in the beginning it was just very hard to, you know, to take care to be able to resolve kind of just the numbers. But now I see that things are moving quickly, or things are moving a little bit quicker. There's more people on the ground helping. So there's been over 250,000 claims filed statewide. In terms of the invalid claims, it looks like there's about 73,000 that are invalid. There's 10,000 that are still waiting. So I know a lot of you, maybe you have reached out to Hawaii Worker Center, or you reached out to legal aid, just asking, hey, you know, I'm still stuck in this kind of process, or I'm still stuck in this type of purgatory where I don't know what's going on with my claims. You know, would you happen to know what's going on? And these were some of the issues that, you know, that the state had identified were holding up some of the claims. I think one, you know, this was from the press releases, one major issue was that people were filing from, or it looked like they were filing from out of state. So, you know, maybe their IPs for some reason, their computer it was detecting that it was an out-of-state IP. So basically that became an issue. Some of the other things that they listed, some of the common issues were, people working full time and they weren't ineligible. They were ineligible for benefits, but they were filing for part-time work. They put information down wrong for incorrect deposit information. There were backdate issues, separation from work that requires more investigation. So I'm hearing some of those now, where some people were saying, I wasn't, I was fired, or I wasn't fired from my job. I was let go. I don't know why my employer was saying I was fired. So those are some of the issues now. And then, the state has to, or the unemployment office has to do a little bit more investigation and digging into it. And then some of the other common issues that, maybe they're filing multiple claims, or they just, they weren't able to create a username and password online on the online portal. So I know those were some issues. And I know for a lot of our COFA migrants, I think there was an issue with, with the number that they had to put on their website, their EAD number, or, I believe it was one digit less or something. And then they were being told to just put some other random number down. And I think those were things that were in the beginning a little bit problematic. And then hopefully they've been worked out more. So just as a reminder, people still do need to file weekly claims. If you're receiving benefits, you just need to let the government know when you return to work and that you no longer need assistance. So these weekly claims, they would eventually become bi-weekly. But if you visit our legal aid website, or if you visit the legal aid Facebook page, there's actually directions on there on how to file weekly claims, and it's translated into I believe Marshallese, Chuukese, and Ilocano as well, or Tagalog. And that's a great resource regarding just filing weekly claims. And denials and appeals. So, if you receive some sort of letter, or if you know someone that received a letter just saying that they're disqualified from receiving UI, if they could just email, or you can help them email this address above. And they didn't need to submit their full name, the last 4 digits of their social, their telephone number, and just a screenshot of their disqualification. They also have a phone number that you can contact that they've put up. And at the same time, we recommend that you just keep a record of any communications that you have with the office. That way that'll help you later on down the road if there is some sort of disagreement. So if people are denied benefits and they disagree with it for some reason, they can request for a reconsideration or file an appeal with the Employment Security Appeals Referees Officer, or ESARO, within 10 calendar days after they receive the determination letter. Okay, and if you do need more than 10 calendar days, you can extend it to 30 calendar days for good cause. I think it's basically you just need to communicate with the office at the same time. And you can also do that online. Okay, these are some of the common questions that I found online that people were having. And there are some basic answers there, but I think, for instance, for around the claim certifications, people didn't know exactly how the process works or what it was that they were supposed to do. There's a lot of good resources that the state has on their website regarding how to file claims. They're trying to make it as easy as possible for people by producing videos, by producing FAQs. So, I recommend just visiting that website yourself and just checking out, the information that they're putting out there. This is one of the common ones is, I received a disqualification letter due to the lack of 2 quarters in the base period. Those are, some questions that they're seeing. Or here's a common one is, I recently moved to another state because I'm unable to afford to live in Hawaii. Do I still qualify? And I think that's where, maybe people are filing out of state, and now maybe that's holding up, their claim here. And yeah, I understand a lot of people may be moving just because they're maybe looking for, other jobs. So those are just some of the questions that we're seeing. And I believe Yoko is gonna, share this PDF with everyone afterwards. So any of the contact information or some of the questions here, this PDF can be shared afterwards. This is one that, sometimes we see is that, it's been more than 3 to 5 business days, and my claims have just been pending. People don't know what's really going on. And basically, there may be an issue on your account that needs attention. And there should be a message as to why your claim is still pending. And sometimes if it's just waiting, it just may take time. But I understand people have been waiting for some time, and they're really looking for answers. So, I just recommend contacting those the emails or the phone numbers that were listed earlier. Yeah, there's some other questions here that if for people that you're helping, you may apply to. So I would just, rather than reading out to you, I would just ask you guys to maybe take a look at the materials later.
So are you done, Sergio?
Almost.
Okay, not yet.
So the denials and appeals, I know maybe some of you are in this process already, or if you're just helping people through the appeals process. And basically, I just want to share that it's a little bit of more of an informal process. There's a third person, there's a referee that basically just takes a look at your record, takes a look at what your employer said, and then you have a chance to correct those, whatever statements that your employer said. And I think the main thing is just making sure you appeal on time. Otherwise, you may lose the chance to appeal. Second.
Okay.
And one of the main things I do want to share is that you have the right, to access your file. So if you can ask for that file from the officer, and then you can see what you can see what your employer is saying, why they denied your claim or why they didn't agree with your claim, and then from there you can prepare. You can prepare your rebuttal. You can prepare ways to counter that. Sorry, and I'll just go to this part a little bit. So these are a little bit more, just for people that need help with backdating. There's an email address that the state has provided. And one thing I do want to stress is the need for language access. So I understand everything is online. People can do it by telephone, but the ones that we're concerned about is the people where language access is an issue. And if you can just share with the people that you're helping that if they ever need help, communicating with the office, that they do have a right to an interpreter over the phone or in person, and the DLIR must provide you, language access. Okay, and finally, these are some of the. If you do continue to have questions, these are the phone numbers that they've listed, along with the emails regarding questions about the claims. And I did want to share that sometimes if you're not getting any traction, maybe you're not able to get through the phone, or they just haven't responded to your email. Another helpful way is just contact your local representative, especially when it comes to some of the federal questions that people may have regarding the CARES Act. Here's the phone number for the U.S. senators and our state representatives. They have caseworkers available here in town or here in state that can answer your questions. They can look more into your claim. I would also contact your state and county elected officials. Here for Honolulu, we have one website now, oneoahu.org, that tries to put everything into one, into one website. But I think the point of this too is that way they can know what some of the issues are that their constituents are facing, and I think it's helpful, for you to contact them. And then just finally, for the Legal Aid Society of Hawaii, our focus, or the focus mostly, is assisting those with limited English proficiency or disabled people that normally they can't do it over the telephone, or they can't do it online by themselves. That's mostly the focus of legal aid, to try to be able to help those that need that help. There's a lot of resources online that are, again, translated in Chuukese, Marshallese, Cosraean, and Filipino. And intake hotline is there. It's 808-536-4302. And then there's also court self-help centers available for those that are calling from the neighbor islands. This is just another legal resource that we can refer people to as well. They can talk to a volunteer attorney. And with that, I turn it over to your unemployment insurance expert for questions that you guys may have.